Trick-or-treating was always one of my favorite activities as a kid, but it's an activity you can only do once a year, so me and my group of friends always tried to make it memorable. And I mean, which kid doesn't? Halloween is the best celebration ever. You get to dress as your favorite thing. You can match costumes with your friends. You can collect a whole bunch of candy, and sometimes you're even allowed to go out without parents. Halloween was the night where my friends and I got to feel like grown-ups. It was one of the things that joined us, but eventually, it was also the thing that separated us. My group of friends and I were known as the J Team because of our names, Jack, Jeff, and Jenny. And last but not least, me, the person who wrote this. My name is Jay. Most of us knew each other since we were toddlers or even earlier. We lived in the neighborhood since I was born, and so did Jeff, my neighbor, who lived at the house to the left. And we were the same age. Jack was a year younger than us, and he moved into the house in front of mine when we were 3 years old. And Jenny lived on the house on the right. She was 2 years older than me. And we all became friends since we met. We played together almost every day and called each other all the time. And for many years, we dressed up as different things for Halloween. The Ghostbusters, the Ninja Turtles, and the Wizard of Oz characters, etc., etc., etc. We planned every Halloween night months in advance, so that our parents could buy or make our costumes, and also so that we had enough time to make the list of places we were visiting. Yeah, we took this very seriously. We had a list of the places with the best candy, so those houses were the ones we visited first, just in case they ran out of it. We did this for many years, but by the time I was 10, it all changed. It was another Halloween night, the one in 2001, and just like every year, our trick-or-treat adventure had begun. We decided to dress as the Power Rangers and we went from house to house. However, something unexpected happened. Not many people in our area celebrated Halloween anymore. Our candy collection pretty much sucked, and most people had cheap, crappy candy and some others didn't even open the door. And also, there weren't many kids on the streets. We were all completely bored until Jack convinced us to go to the other side of town where the rich people lived. We all agreed in an instant, even though we knew it was forbidden to go to another area without our parents' consent. Once we arrived to the rich people area, it was all very different and new to us. Jack was the only one who knew the place a little bit because his step-grandma used to live there. The houses were gigantic. In fact, there were many mansions around. Some had a modern look. Some other tried to go for a Victorian style. And I just felt so poor just standing there. We walked a few blocks, but we didn't even know where we were until we finally got some unexpected help. Jenny noticed someone was following us, so she let us know. We carefully looked behind and caught a glance of a white dress hiding between the bushes. We quickly moved where the thing hid and found a beautiful surprise. It was a very pretty girl around our age. She had long, blonde, curly hair and bright green eyes full of life. She was incredibly pale, her skin almost glowed, and she was wearing a white and cream dress that looked rather old, like one of the dresses porcelain dolls wear. In fact, she looked like a doll herself. The girl looked scared. Jeff, being erratic, pushed her to the ground. Jenny and I felt bad for her and told Jeff to stop. She told us her name was Amelia, and that she wanted to see what we were doing and asked if she could join us. Everyone hesitated. Accepting someone new in our group, even if it was just for one night, sounded crazy. And also, this girl's costume didn't match at all with our Power Ranger ones. Everyone said no to her hanging out with us, but I could tell she was almost in tears. I felt really bad for her, so I convinced the rest of the guys to accept her for the night. I even joked, saying we had our own pink Power Ranger already, so we could always use the new girl as the yellow one. And eventually, everybody accepted her, and Amelia joined us. To our surprise, Amelia knew the place like the back of her hand. She guided us smoothly from one place to another and knew who lived in every single house. As the night progressed, we all started to like her better, and I could even tell Jack and Jeff were getting crushes on her. My heart, however, has always belonged to Jenny, which was pretty obvious, but despite all the attention Amelia got from Jack and Jeff, she kept coming close to me. There was just one weird thing about Amelia, even though she happily guided us to the houses. When it was time to knock at the doors, she hid from the rest of the people and didn't ask for any candy. We asked what was wrong, if she was shy or if she just didn't like candy. She just said she couldn't eat it anymore. Apart from that, she was just a sweet girl, and we enjoyed her company. Once it got late and it was time for us to go back to our neighborhood, she asked us to come back next Halloween. I looked at everybody's faces and they all seemed happy about the idea. So I, as the spokesman of the group, said we'd be glad to. We said goodbye and headed to our houses. For a couple of days we spoke about Amelia and how odd but sweet she was. We all were looking forward to seeing her once again for next Halloween. And eventually, Halloween of 2002 had come. We dressed as some characters from Mortal Kombat. We didn't have a list of the best trick-or-treating options around our area, and as soon as we left our house, we were going to Amelia's neighborhood. As we were making our way to see Amelia, Jenny came to the realization we didn't even know where we were going to meet. And Amelia never told us where she lived, and we didn't agree to meet at any specific place. So it was definitely a shocking surprise to find Amelia as soon as we stepped in the neighborhood. She said she was just passing by and saw us. And we noticed she was wearing the same dress. And Jack asked her why she was wearing that costume. She said she didn't have anything else to wear. We didn't investigate further, as we didn't want to make her feel any worse. We did the same thing as the year before, and once again had lots of fun doing it. By the end of the night, we asked Amelia if she wanted to hang out with us again, and more often, not only in Halloween, and her face lightened up at first. But after a few seconds, she looked sad and said she couldn't do it, for she was only allowed to go out on Halloween. We asked her if she could have visits at her house or come to ours, but she immediately said no. It was clear she couldn't do any of these things. Perhaps her parents were very strict. And by the end of the night, we asked her how we were going to find her next Halloween. She said she would find us. We believed what she said. And so 1 year later, we did the same thing for Halloween. Just as promised, as soon as we arrived, Amelia was there. However, this year I did notice something very strange. 2 years have passed, and we have all grown and changed except for her. Mentally and physically, Amelia was still the same. This year, instead of paying attention to the candy, we just wanted to hang out, but things just felt very awkward. She was clearly still a kid compared to the rest of us. Even if she really tried to be fun, we just didn't connect anymore. Jack and Jeff no longer felt an attraction towards her because she didn't seem to grow like we did, and I felt particularly awkward with her trying to get so close to me. And I didn't want to give Jenny the wrong impression. When it was getting late and it was time to say goodbye, we all said, "See you next year," knowing it wasn't going to be like that. And so next Halloween, my group and I decided not to go trick-or-treating. And after all, Jeff and I were 13 years old, Jenny was 15, and Jack was 12. We were getting too old for those kind of things. We decided to stay at my place watching horror films. And the truth is, we didn't feel guilty for lying to Amelia. The first and only one to leave my house that night was Jenny. The guys were staying at my place, but Jenny wasn't allowed to sleep with us, so once the clock hit midnight, she had to leave to go home. Since she lived next to my house, we didn't walk her there. She went all by herself. We continued with our horror movie night and eventually fell asleep. Until we were woken up the next day by our parents and the police. It turns out, Jenny never made it home that night. They looked for her everywhere but found nothing. And our J team was destroyed. We searched every single day for her, but never saw anything. And it's like Earth had opened up and swallowed her. And police concluded she might have been captured by traffickers, which was very sad news to all of us. And after a year, the Halloween of 2005 had arrived. It was morning time and time for me to go to school. And just like always, I was waiting for Jack and Jeff to get out of their houses to go to school together when I noticed something weird that had been left near my bike. And once I got closer, I realized it was a note that read, "I thought you were my friends." And I didn't understand what was the meaning behind the note, but I found it spooky that the fact that someone decided to give me this on Halloween, particularly on the anniversary of Jenny's disappearance. As soon as the guys appeared, I showed them the letter. Jack thought it was suspicious and recommended to show it to someone. However, Jeff and I thought it was some kind of prank for some assholes around. We didn't get along with some other groups around us, so we just let it go. Plus, the handwriting looked like something written by an 8-year-old, so whoever wrote it wasn't a threat to us. At least, that's what we believed. The rest of the day went by normally, and I didn't want to do anything for Halloween because, well, I missed Jenny, and I felt like crap. The other guys felt bad too, but they ended up convincing me to go to Jeff's house and watch some horror movies together. We met at Jeff's house for a few hours, but no scary movie made us feel good. We were too depressed. Jack suggested us to have some drinks in order to forget about our feelings. It was an easy plan. Jack just had to cross the street, go to his house, grab one of his dad's vodka bottles, and come back. But he left at 9 p.m. and he never came back. After 20 minutes of Jack not coming back, Jeff and I decided to go check what was going on. We went to his house and asked his parents about him, but they said they hadn't seen him since they left to be with us many hours ago. We immediately knew something was wrong, and his parents immediately called the police. Once the police arrived, Jack's parents let them know they had surveillance cameras outside their house. The police and his parents checked the recordings, but they seemed to find nothing. And apparently, all they saw in the video was Jack trying to open the door, and then there was a glitch, and he was gone. However, once Jeff and I watched the video, it was all very different. Jeff and I saw something very different compared to the rest. We noticed something before the glitch. Well, not something. Someone. Before the glitch, the last thing we saw was a little girl behind Jack. But this was no ordinary little girl. It was Amelia. That's right. The girl who wasn't allowed to go out. The girl who used to be our friend, but we had completely ditched. And she appeared clearly on the video, wearing the same dress, and still looking like a 9 or 10-year-old. Jeff and I looked at each other as soon as we saw this, and we asked everyone once again what they saw, but we were definitely the only ones who could see her. We were asked many questions by the police, and we didn't tell them about seeing Amelia in the video because we didn't want people to think we were nuts and then find us guilty of something like that. Nevertheless, we did tell them about the note we received in the morning. We explained we thought it was a prank from one of the other kids due to the handwriting, but now we believed it was Amelia. We told the police about Amelia, our ex-friend we used to play with, and how weird she was. And the police thought maybe she could be involved, not directly being the author of the plan, but maybe Amelia was sent by somebody else. Well, the police went to investigate Amelia's neighborhood, but nobody had any information about this mysterious, sweet little girl. And it's like we were the only ones who were able to see her. And that's when we came to the realization that Amelia might not be real. The Amelia's theory was withdrawn from the investigation. Nevertheless, the police told our parents that the fact that 2 of the kids from our group had disappeared on the same date, in the same area, wasn't a coincidence. They no longer believed Jenny had been captured by traffickers, but rather than both of them had been taken away by somebody for personal reasons. Jeff moved to another area in the same town. My parents took a more radical decision, and we ended up moving across the country. Our parents hoped that by doing this, nothing bad was going to happen to us. And then, 1 year later, on the Halloween night of 2006, Jeff decided to go back to Amelia's neighborhood, and I advised him not to do so, but he didn't listen to me. Because of the distance, there was nothing I could do. I ended up calling Jeff's parents to tell them what he was up to, but it was already too late. He had gone there already, and just like the other times with Jenny and Jack, Jeff didn't come back. For many years, the police kept telling their parents they were still looking for them, but after 11 years, all hopes were gone. And last year, I received a phone call from a detective claiming to know some information about the case. Some information that, according to him, had been hidden from the public, including our parents. When we finally met in person, the first thing he did was show me a picture. And to my surprise, the person in the picture was Amelia. The detective confirmed the identity of the little girl. Her name was Amelia Havoc. She was a 9-year-old, kidnapped and killed on October 31st, 1973, in the same area where we used to hang out with her. Amelia's ghost haunted the house where she was killed for many years. And finally, the house was demolished in 1985, hoping her ghost would find peace. But it didn't happen as they expected. For many years, her ghost has been seen only by kids and only during Halloween. And Amelia tends to be a passive, sweet girl who is only looking for company. The problem is, once you have befriended her, she won't let you go. If you try to escape her, she will seek revenge. I asked the detective what had happened to my friends, and he says he had no idea, but that's why he needs my help. And we started working the case off the record. We prepared ourselves for a long time until the day finally arrived. We went to visit the neighborhood and we saw her, though the plan didn't turn out as expected. Amelia touched the detective's arm, and he disappeared in the blink of an eye. I was completely frozen till she spoke to me. "I'm glad you're back. You were always the good one, my only real friend. Now, there's nothing that can separate us," she said. After a while of being astonished, I decided to go home. She followed me home that night, and then she disappeared by the dawn. I'm afraid of next Halloween coming. I'm afraid I will be haunted by Amelia's ghost. I don't know what else to do to bring my friends back, and I definitely don't know what to do to make her go away.